Shabbos, there's something special about Purim that it affects not only the day of Purim, but the entire month. And this year, 2 months. We're in a leap year, so we're now in the first month of Adar. Next month is the second month of Adar. It affects it by the fact that we know that if we have any court cases, it's good to have it in these months. We have a good mazel in these months. We're told that when this month comes in, we add in joy. So we see the extension of Purim to the entire 2-month period this year. And as such, I'd like to share a thought, an insight that could be a fascinating lesson with regard or related in the Megillah. So the end of the story of Purim and the end of the Megillah, it speaks about how Mordechai was the second in command to the king, the viceroy of the king, and he was looked after the well-being of his people, of the Jewish people. And there's a term, there's a couple of words there that seem a little odd. Most of his brethren were happy with him. So Rashi tells us, what does it mean? Because some of his brethren were not so happy with him. Why not? Mordechai was a member of the Sanhedrin. And as the Sanhedrin, the main focus is the study of Torah and learning. Mordechai kind of had to be involved in politics. And because he left the realm of Torah and involved himself in politics, some members of the Sanhedrin were not happy with him. And that's the Mishnah hints at the end of the Megillah. Well, the question is, indeed, someone who appreciates the value of Torah like Mordechai, why was he in politics? Now we know, of course, whilst there was before the decree and whilst the decree, and to safeguard the Jewish people, he had to remain in politics to save them from Haman and Haman's decree. But once everything changed, once Achashverosh became our best friend, and he made the decree that the Jews could defend themselves. And Esther was openly Jewish, his wife, his queen. Why did Mordechai remain in politics? Why didn't he go back to the study of Torah? Politics, Henry Kissinger said that that politicians, the bad politicians, give a bad name to the other 10%. Or like one woman politician said, the reason there's so few females in politics because it's hard to put makeup on two faces. Politics is not exactly a wholesome kind of a position. Or if that's the case, why would Mordechai remain in that when he didn't have to? He could have gone back to the study of Torah. And the answer to that is found right in the beginning of the Megillah. The beginning of the Megillah says, "Vahi b'mei Achashverosh hu Achashverosh." It was in the days of Achashverosh. He is Achashverosh. The question is, what does that mean? It was in the days of Achashverosh, who ruled over 127 lands. What's this addition? He is Achashverosh. So Rashi again comments on that and explains that the Megillah is telling us who Achashverosh. He's the same Achashverosh from beginning to end. Just like we see that when Haman came to Achashverosh and said, "I'd like to kill the Jews, and here's the money to allow me to kill them," Achashverosh says, "Keep the money, you can kill them anyway." Achashverosh was no friend of the Jews. Achashverosh was an anti-Semite. It just, at the moment, at this time, when Hester came and he was charmed by her beauty and he was seeing the value and the benefit for him, so he annulled the decree. But Mordechai had to always be on guard. And even after the story of Purim and the miracles that happened, he knew that you can't trust this Achashverosh and you have to be close to him to make sure that things don't revert to the inner anti-Semite that he was. And you have to constantly be on guard. Oh, what a lesson that is. The fact that we see someone is one way today doesn't mean he'll be that way in the future. Now, the Rebbe says that something positive is more powerful than something negative. The Rebbe doesn't say that. That's the Talmud tells us. But the Rebbe relates it to this issue. If Achashverosh was the same anti-Semite from beginning to end, well, every Jew is the same from beginning to end, same in a positive way. It is the Jew who stood at Sinai. He's the Jew who whose soul is connected to Hashem, and it's the same from beginning to end. So even though one might not have had a Jewish education, one might not have known what it is to be Jewish, nevertheless, the inner soul of who he is as Jewish as ever. And so therefore we should never lose hope in ourselves and on others, because we know he is the same Jew that was as his soul was in heaven. And if you think about it, during the long bow of history, any Jew around today has a grandfather or a great-grandfather or a great-great-grandfather, and going back many generations beforehand, who was committed to Torah, committed to Judaism. Anyone. So even if we have a blip of 50 years or so where that isn't the case, but in the terms of in over 3,333 years, it's a small amount compared to all that. So when you look at the Jew, he's the same Jew. He's a descendant of his grandparents and great-grandparents, and he has that soul in him. And therefore, if that's the case, introducing Jewish observance and involvement in your life is not changing yourself. It is coming back to who you actually were and who you actually are. So it is the Jew, and it's the same Jew, the same who stood at Sinai, the same one whose soul stood before God before he was born. We take that message for ourselves, not to think that anything positive we do is over and above who we are, and to look at another Jew in that way as well, to help them grow and to help them achieve and reveal that really the true identity and the true being. Good Shabbos.